now. Host Chuck Stevenson. A lot to go over. Well, not a whole lot to go over. Mostly going to go over just a little bit of news and a preview for this weekend. So, if you haven't heard by now, UFC 230, Sijara Eubanks versus Roxanne Modafferi. Well, Sijara Eubanks missed weight. 127.2 pounds. So, she was at one point supposed to headline this event in a title fight. Not only she, and now she's missed weight. She made a huge stink when she didn't end up getting the title fight, and that got moved to a different event. She still got to stay on this card. That was probably the biggest stink she made, was to stay on. Well, no, she made a bigger stink about, losing a title fight. Still made a big stink about, wanting to stay on this card. So she got her wish. And then now she comes in and loses weight. And I'm not going to lie, guys. It's hard to, cheer on someone or to support someone. I mean, she had every right to complain about losing that title fight. But when the time comes and you still go fight, you got to make weight. Look, that is the most important thing. That is probably even more important than winning the, well, no, maybe not important. Okay? There are two things you have to do to keep getting ahead fighting. The two things more important than anything else. One is consistently making weight. You're never going to get a title fight if you don't consistently make weight. Okay? Two. Win fights. And honestly, who even cares if she wins? Because, look, most of the time, if you miss weight but then win, it's going to be forgotten about the next day. Within 5 minutes of winning, people are going to forget that you missed weight. Okay? We've seen it multiple times. And fighters still gaining popularity, whether they miss weight or not. Darren Till missed weight, won a fight, and got a title fight. That ain't going to happen to Sijara Eubanks. Why? Because she made herself look bad. If you're going to be vocal about stuff and, complain on social media, get well known because of that, you gotta make weight for the fight. There's no excuse for her missing weight either. She had plenty of time to prepare. Okay, from the moment that her fight with Shevchenko got announced, she should have been working on her weight because she's missed weight in the past. When she was supposed to fight Nico Montano last November, a year ago, her weight cut was so bad that her body shut down and she had to go to the hospital, and she ended up missing out on that fight. Had this actually still been a title fight, she would not be fighting for a title. Whether she won or lost, she wasn't going to get the title. She's lucky this wasn't still for the title fight. Lucky as hell, guys. Okay? No excuses for missing weight. I don't want to hear it anymore. She had more. Look, if you come in on a week notice, 2 weeks, and you miss weight, fine. That you can forgive and forget. But she's known about this fight. She had more than that time. She had like a month or so. There's no excuse for missing weight. The whole thing with her, the fallout between the fight against Shevchenko getting canceled and then being announced with her fight versus Roxanne Modafferi, that was less than a week. So maybe a few days where she might have gone off her diet. That's not going to... No. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for this. 125 is championship weight. Non-championship fights, they give you a pound allowance. She didn't even make that. 127.2. So that's 1.2 pounds over the regular allowance. 1 pound weight allowance. Championship weight, you have to make weight exactly. That's 2.2 pounds over. Yeah. there's nothing else to really say about that. As far as the fight goes, so thinking back to their fight in Tough, whatever that was, in the Tough House last year, Sijara beat Roxy by unanimous decision. And the big thing I remember about that fight was that Sarge didn't really outskill Roxanne Modafferi. She more like outsized, outstrengthed her. And honestly, I expect this fight to go a lot the same way. I don't think Sijara is as skilled as Roxanne, but she is going to come in with the size and strength advantage. Now, whether or not Roxanne has properly prepared for that this time, I would imagine that, you know, she trains with John Wood at Syndicate MMA, and she does really well when she has plenty of time to prepare with them. Training with them has been, you know, the biggest improvement she's made in all of her years of fighting. She improved so much under them, probably more than all of her other years fighting combined. That's, you know, training with them was what allowed her to compete for the Invicta title at 125, and then, you know, bringing the skills that she brought in from training at Syndicate was what allowed her to get to the semifinals of The Ultimate Fighter last year. So, I'm not going to pick a winner. If I had to pick a winner, I'm still going to go with Eubanks. If the weight cut, you know, didn't affect her too bad, I think she's still going to have the size and strength advantage. And while I think Roxy's more skilled, Sarge does also have skills, so I think that's going to be the deciding factor, is the size and strength advantage. Because when you get two people, skilled fighters together, size and strength is usually going to win out, for the most part. So, I'm going to go with Sijara Eubanks' unanimous decision. Although I would not be disappointed with a Roxanne Modafferi win. To me, if you're not a fan of, if you're a fight fan, or if you're a long-time WMMA fan and you're not a fan of Roxanne Modafferi, there's something wrong with you. I mean, she's just a cool chick. She's got a cool personality. She's a nerd. Yeah, but she knows it. Like, she's self-aware. She's like, yeah, I'm a nerd. There's nothing to dislike about her. I mean, she's not, you know, the typical hot chick at all. Never going to be. But she's just a lovable fighter. I mean, she's so cool. I mean, if I could pick like any fighter to be like a friend, have as a good friend, it'd probably be Roxanne Modafferi, because she just seems like she's so easy to get along with. And if you like sci-fi stuff, if you like comics and stuff like that, I mean, I'm a geek myself. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'm a geek. So, I could definitely have like hours-long conversations about comics or anime or movies and stuff with Roxanne Modafferi. So, I would not be disappointed if Roxanne comes away with the win. So, let's see. Bringing up their weight. So we had Sarge come in at 127.2, and Roxanne actually came in under championship weight. She came in at 124.8 pounds. So, anyway, guys, we're going to move along. Full Metal Dojo. The return of Loma Lookboonmee. Now, if you've seen her fight in Invicta, you know that she is a legit Muay Thai beast. Little atom weight chick. Beasting coming in. Just an absolute beast. She's coming in at 2-0, coming in and fighting a fellow Thai at Full Metal Dojo. Suwanon Poonsorn coming in at 1-1. I'm going to bring up the picture of them. Let me see. Loma. Okay, yeah, here's a weigh-in picture. I don't have the weigh-in results of these two. And, yes, those are two chicks. They're definitely not girly girls you're seeing here. Lookboonmee is on the right. Poonsorn is on the left. Poonsorn looks like a beast. She's supposed to have the advantage on the ground. Looks very strong just looking at the picture. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I really have to say about that. If it stays standing, if Look Boomy can keep it standing, I would expect her to tear her apart, especially in the clinch. If it goes to the ground, Boonsorn has the advantage. I can't make a prediction. I've never seen Boonsorn fight. I've seen both of Look Boomy's fights, and she did really well in both of them. Granted, her second fight was against one of the Team Date members, and if you've ever seen one of their fights, they're not Team Date is not they're not good. That's the nicest thing I can say about them. They're cute, but they're not good. So moving along, bring our records back up here. Nope, that's not it. So moving along to Road FC 50, we have Yuri Shim, who is 3-2, coming in and facing Seo Hee Lim, 2-1. They weighed in. Yuri Shim, this is a minus 50 kilogram catchweight bout. Shim weighed in at 50.1 kilograms and passed. Lim weighed in at 50.4 kilograms and passed. I think they're allowed to weigh a half a kilo over, which would be 1 pound. So they both made weight for this fight. These are two stand-up focused fighters. Shim is more of a Muay Thai fighter. Lim is her nickname is the Wushu Princess. So she has like a more Chinese Wushu style background. Now they have faced each other in I think a Wushu competition before, for like national trials or something like that. Not really that familiar with it. I was going off of a translation from a website. I wouldn't expect this fight to go to the ground based on their two styles. If it does, I'm going to have to give the advantage to Lim, because she trains out of, or she has been trained out of Team Force with the former Road FC Bantamweight champion, and they're a very good gym, producing well-rounded fighters. Whereas Yuri Shim trains out of Team Genius, and according to the commentators at Road, and this might have changed since then, I don't know, but Team Genius is pretty much a stand-up gym, and they don't even have they don't have a cage, they don't even have padded walls to work on as far as grappling, like getting up when you're taken down, stuff like that. So if it does go to the ground, I'm going to have to give the advantage to Lim. If it stays standing, it depends on where it stays standing. Lim, probably the better distance fighter. If it stays in the clinch, I'm going to have to give it to Yuri Shim. She has some good knees in the clinch. Very good clinch fighter. Unfortunately, Road FC doesn't allow elbows, standing or grounded. I hate that rule. I think if they allowed elbows, Shim would have an even bigger advantage in the clinch. I can't really predict a winner in this fight. If it goes to the ground, if it goes to the ground long enough, we'll go with Lim. If it stays standing, it could go either way. I know in the Wushu competition they fought in, Seo Hee Lim won that fight. Of course, that was a few years back. So I'm going to predict that the fight ends in decision. I just don't know who's going to win. So that's all the fights that I was looking up for this weekend. Now, here's some big news. Finally, after a year out of the sport, she spent a half a year recovering from a broken arm. Seo Hee Ham is making her return at Road FC 51 in December. She's going to be headlining it against Jong-un Park, the Little Wolf, at a Road FC XX event. Now they revealed this yesterday, or earlier. Well, yeah, we'll say yesterday, Korean time. After the weigh-ins for Road FC 50, made the announcement. So I covered Road FC's last Double X event, which was last December. Took me like a couple months to review all the fights. I was still getting this channel started at the time. But so Road FC started last spring, with their Double X events. So the Double X events are all female main card events. And they have a bunch of atomweight fighters. And so far they've announced 3 fights so far. And trust me, they'll announce more. They'll announce at least 2 more. But so far, all 3 fights are going to be atomweight fights, and that includes for the atomweight championship between Ham and Park. I'm going to go over these, and I'll add the accompanying pictures. So the first fight they announced, and I might not get all of these fighters right because they were talking so fast and it was in Korean. I can usually pick out names when speaking in Korean. I can't pick out much of anything else. I'm not a Korean speaker. I did learn a little bit, but so the first fight that I gathered was Yoon Ha Hong, atomweight fight, Yoon Ha Hong versus Hyunju Baek. Now looking at these 2 fighters, Yoon Ha Hong 1-4 versus Hyunju Baek 0-3. Now these 2 fighters are very good examples of it is tough to make it as a female fighter in Asia. These 2 are like prime examples of this. Yoon Ha Hong, her first couple fights, got fed to the wolves, and some other circumstances since then have prevented her from having a better record. If Road FC didn't have the weigh-in system and the rules that they did, she missed weight for one of her fights last year that set her at a points deficit. According to their scoring system, they go by points scored. It's actually a very good system. You would think it sets you up for scoring, for point fighting, but it really does not. Excuse me. Anyway, Yoon Ha Hong missed weight for a fight last year. Had she made the weight, she'd have crushed this girl. She'd have won a unanimous decision. The only reason the girl won it all was because Hong missed weight. And then she ended up fighting Yuri Shim. Her original opponent, Sulgi John, bowed out due to injury, I guess. And then Yuri Shim stepped in on late notice. And Hong beat Yuri Shim, mostly by fighting on the ground. Hyunju Baek, looking at her, she's a little more well-rounded. She's 0-3, but so her first fight she lost to Yuri Shim. Yuri Shim was 1-0 at the time, so they were even on that. So no excuses there. But her next fight, she took on Emi Fujino at Deep 79 back in 2017 in September. Emi Fujino at the time was 19-10. Okay, an 0-1 fighter has no business fighting a 19-10 fighter. But she took the fight probably because it was the only fight offered to her. It just works out that way in Asia, especially when you're... I'm not going to go into the real politics of this, but if you're a Korean fighter trying to fight in Japan, this just happens to you. You get screwed a lot. And then her next fight, she came in 0-2, of course, against Erika Suzuki. This time at ACF 36th. That was in Japan. Erika Suzuki came in at 4-2. So again, she gave up a dearth of experience. She's fairly well-rounded. Not a great fighter, but I've seen some promise out of what I've seen of her. So this should be an interesting fight. Don't let their records fool you. This will probably be a pretty good fight. Next up, the next fight, and I'm not 100% sure on one of these fighters. We have Yeji Lee coming in at 3-4. I've reviewed her fights before. Talked about her before. I think this girl has a lot of promise. She just, every time she steps up in competition, the step up is a little bit too big. And it's a little bit too much for her. And she's taking on is it Soo-Hyun Lee? Yeah, Lee Soo-Hyun, I believe. Who is a debutante. Road FC signed her like last year and haven't had her debut until now. So I really don't know anything about her or who she's training with. I want to say she trains out of, they used to be called Team Apgujeong. I think they're called Team 1 now. Don't quote me on that though. Anyway, Soo-Hyun Lee is going to be coming in, making her pro debut against the 3 and 4 Yeji Lee, who is another fighter who, as I was saying, takes on fighters with way more experience. She debuted against Toko Sanashi, who was 32, 2 and 2 at the time. Her next fight was against Sasei Watanabe, a legit atomweight knockout artist who was 19 and 6 at the time. She won her next 3, including a revenge match against Shinashi. Then after that, she lost to Tomo Maesawa, who was coming in at 7 and 7. And then she lost her most recent fight in July against Mika Arai. Mika Arai surprised me in that Mika Arai made a lot of improvements since the last fight I saw of her, which was her pro debut. Arai just out-wrestled and really out-grappled Yeji Lee, which surprised me because Yeji Lee does much better on the ground than standing, and Arai just took it to her, excuse me. So that's the second of the 3 matches they've announced so far. Which brings us to the main event. We have Jun Park coming in with a record of 4-4 and 1. Again, don't let the record fool you. But she is taking on Seo Hee Ham, who's the reigning defending champion, coming off the big, KO TKO win over Jin Yu Fry last December. And broke her arm. So Park had a little bit. So Park was. I have mixed emotions about this fight. I think it's too soon for Jun Park. But at the same time, I think honestly, it's probably now or never with this. They had to give Ham someone to fight, and a lot of top atomweights are going to be booked in December if they're not booked already. I doubt they're going to get any top fighters from Rizin, because Rizin doesn't look. Organizations lend fighters to Rizin. Rizin doesn't lend fighters out. It just seems to work that way. No one for her to really face. They could have brought in maybe a deep fighter or two, but she already beat their current deep champion, and the current deep champion just lost her last fight, and there's no point in that rematch. So anyway, we'll start off looking at Jun Park, Little Wolf. She's coming in with a 4-4 record. So far in 2018, she is 1 and 1. Both of those fights took place in Deep Jewels. Now she beat Emi Tomomatsu, who was 13 and 12 at the time. Tomomatsu, a longtime veteran of the Japanese scene. Just took it to her, pretty much the entire fight. Maybe the first round, I think, might have been, I can't remember, it was a while ago. And then she just got out-wrestled, straight out-wrestled, by Tomo Maesawa, who came in at 10 and 8. Park had stated that she wanted to fight her way to the Deep Jewels title and rematch against Mina Kurobi. She had lost to Kurobi last December at Deep's final show of the year, 2 days before Christmas. Kurobi is still the Deep Jewels champ. Obviously, with the loss to Maesawa, that isn't going to help because she wanted to face Ham as a champ versus champ match. So now this fight's getting made. Anyway, Ham is riding a 2-fight win streak. She beat Mina Kurobi last June, and then she beat Jin Yu Fry, finished both of them. So ever since her return to atomweight, Ham has had 2 finishes. This fight, Park obviously has an uphill battle. It's going to be all uphill as far as I see it from Park. She actually comes from, interestingly enough, a Sambo background. The team she trains with, Team Stromwolf, is a Sambo gym. Now, they have this past year brought in John Frankel Jiu-Jitsu they brought in one of his, I guess, instructors to train with them. They are a Frankel affiliate now. Now, if you don't know who John Frankel is an American black belt under Rickson Gracie. So, his credentials speak for itself. And he's been living and training, he's run a school in Korea for years now. And trained a lot of Koreans in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've heard nothing but good things about his school. And obviously, to be a Rickson Gracie black belt, he is legit as fudge. Okay, won't say the F word. But she is still new. She does have a tendency to get out grappled in fights. Now against Ham, she's facing someone who would definitely prefer to stand up, where Park also excels. But Ham has been stand-up fighting for years now. She's 30... How old is Ham? Let me see. She's 31 years old. But she's been fighting since she was like 20, 21. So, in kickboxing, MMA, shoot boxing, so the experience advantage is just huge. Unfortunately, unfortunately for Park, I don't see a chance for her to win. I definitely see a fairly easy night for Ham. Maybe not get the finish, but then again, we're seeing a revitalized Seo Hee Ham at atomweight. Maybe the ring rust might play a factor because she hasn't fought in a year, whereas Park's been fighting. Park had a fight right then, the same day as Ham's last fight, and then she's fought twice since then. So we'll see. So guys, that's everything I have. Video ran a lot longer than I thought it would. Not so much because of the news, but mostly just because of the analysis and breakdown, of course. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I will be going over some of this, definitely the results and everything, on Tuesday with the regular weekly live show, and I am gonna go over the Road FC XX stuff again, just in case someone misses this and happens to watch the live show. Guys, let me know what you think about all these matchups and everything that's going on. Especially, let me know what you think about Sarge missing weight and what's going to go on with that fight in the comments down below, please. And remember, the thumbs up was appreciated. And if you're watching this and you haven't yet, subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the best, the fastest growing, all women's mixed martial arts platform on YouTube. Guys, that's it. Have a good night.